As we proceed, viewer discretion is highly advised. The following content is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is a verbatim transcript of federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported. They say money buries sins deep, but time and truth have a way of clawing back to the light, no matter how many layers of fame and fortune lie on top. For Sean Diddy Combs, the man once hailed as hip-hop royalty and the king of reinvention, that truth erupted in the cold confines of a federal courtroom on a gray Tuesday morning. By 2025, the rumor mill had grown tired of whispering. Whispers turned into podcasts, podcasts turned into exposés, and exposés found their way into the hands of a dogged federal prosecutor who decided that not even Diddy's decades of influence could keep the grave sealed forever. At the center of this storm was Kim Porter, the woman whose smile had graced red carpets beside him, whose love had once softened his harshest edges, and whose sudden, quiet death in 2018 had been quickly wrapped up with the neat bow of pneumonia complications. Diddy, draped in designer black, wept over her casket, promising the world he would keep her legacy alive. But legacy is a fragile thing when built on secrets. The courtroom buzzed with press and stunned fans, many clutching old tabloids with glossy photos of Kim beaming beside Diddy, unaware that behind the smiles lay bruises no makeup could hide. Cameras were banned, but reporters scribbled every word, every flinch, every side glance from the once untouchable mogul who now sat pale and cornered. The newly unsealed documents did not merely question the cause of Kim's death. They ripped open a timeline that suggested intimidation, surveillance, and a carefully orchestrated silencing that went far beyond heartbreak. For years, Cassie Ventura's shocking lawsuit had cracked the first fissure in Diddy's empire. Her allegations of abuse emboldened others, ex-bodyguards, chauffeurs, even former executives who claimed they'd signed ironclad NDAs to cover up affairs, violence, and hush payments. But none of it struck as deep as the envelope-marked KP final statement that the court ordered opened. Inside were emails, security invoices, and the linchpin, a notarized letter Kim had filed with her attorney just 2 weeks before her passing. In it, she wrote plainly, "If this letter is being read, I am gone." And it wasn't natural. "I've stored everything with someone I trust. My children deserve to know the truth. If they silence me, they must never silence you." The room fell silent when the clerk finished reading. Diddy shifted in his seat, jaw tight. His lead attorney leaned in, whispering frantically, but the cameras outside the building were the only witnesses to the panic that flickered across his eyes. The evidence spilled out methodically. Suspicious security camera outages at Kim's mansion the night before she was found unresponsive. A black SUV registered to a shell company linked to one of Diddy's lesser-known holding firms. Payments wired to a private security contractor known only as the Architect, a name that appeared in surveillance logs and cryptic messages in Diddy's leaked texts. More shocking than the money trail was the confession that Kim had feared for years to reveal. She had filmed herself late at night in her bathroom, hair tied back, no makeup, voice trembling yet determined. A short clip played for the court. The judge allowed only the transcript to be printed publicly, but journalists could not stop describing the haunting look in her eyes. "If they find this, it means they found me first. Please, whoever sees this, don't let Sean bury me twice." Gasps echoed through the room. A woman at the back sobbed openly. Even the stenographer paused her keys for a breath that seemed too heavy to let out. Outside, crowds swelled around the courthouse gates. Protesters clutched posters of Kim's smiling face, with slogans painted in red. "She deserves justice." Social media flooded with the hashtags #Justice for Kim, #Unseal Diddy, and #Remember Her Name, drowning out music blogs that once praised the mogul's unshakable legacy. Back inside, Diddy's legal team tried valiantly to redirect. They blamed tabloids for twisting the narrative, argued that Kim had suffered recurring lung infections, and highlighted the official coroner's report, which listed pneumonia and no foul play. But the documents hinted at an old power structure that could erase inconvenient facts: a network of bribed officers, silent paramedics, and altered statements. Then came the wild card: an ex-staffer named Kareem Johnson, a name fans had never heard, but insiders knew well. Once Diddy's fixer, Kareem had vanished for years, until federal agents tracked him to a small apartment in Atlanta. On the stand, his voice cracked as he described the night he was ordered to take care of it. Vague words that had haunted him through broken marriages, drug addiction, and now, redemption. "I didn't touch Kim," Kareem insisted, trembling under cross-examination. "I swear to God. But I made calls. I arranged for people to watch her house. She called me that night. She was scared. She knew they were coming. I didn't do enough. I didn't save her." Diddy avoided Kareem's eyes. His hands fidgeted in his lap, the cufflinks that once symbolized success, now glinting like chains. The judge called a recess when murmurs turned to shouts in the gallery. Reporters bolted for the exits to file urgent updates, their phones buzzing non-stop as other alleged victims reached out with fresh statements. When court resumed, Diddy was no longer the larger-than-life icon. He was just a man cornered by the ghosts of choices he thought money had buried forever. He tried to keep his head high, but each new revelation dragged his name deeper into the pit that Kim Porter had predicted with chilling clarity. Outside the courtroom, satellite trucks lined the streets. Former artists, once loyal to Bad Boy Records, now distanced themselves in carefully worded statements. Music award shows quietly debated revoking past lifetime honors. Sponsors dissolved contracts overnight. Streaming platforms faced petitions to remove his catalog. Meanwhile, Kim's family emerged from years of silence. Her sisters, dignified but visibly exhausted, spoke on courthouse steps, tears mingling with determination. She was more than a headline. She was a mother, a sister, a light, one said, voice cracking. And she will not be dismissed as just another celebrity tragedy. Not while we breathe. Back inside, federal investigators revealed they had gained access to the vault Kim had hinted at in her letter. Inside? Hours of candid video diaries, some raw and tearful, some calm and calculated. In them, Kim laid out connections between Diddy's financial shell games and shady real estate deals. She named middlemen, detailed how offshore accounts disguised hush payments, and warned about compromising photos used to control not just her, but other high-profile partners. One clip shook even the seasoned courtroom staff. Kim, sitting on the floor in sweatpants, whispering into the camera with her children's toys scattered behind her. "One day they'll be grown, and they'll know Mommy tried to do the right thing. I'm sorry, babies. I love you more than life. If this is goodbye, remember, it wasn't my choice." People wept. Diddy's lawyer asked for an adjournment, citing emotional duress. The judge denied it, stating that truth has waited long enough. An independent medical examiner, hired by the family's new legal team, re-examined the toxicology reports. He testified that traces of a sedative were present, a sedative unaccounted for in Kim's prescription history. He could not definitively declare foul play, but stated bluntly, "No reasonable coroner should have missed this." Public trust eroded by the minute. As the prosecutor read out text messages between Diddy and the architect, the jury scribbled notes furiously. In them, Diddy wrote cryptic instructions about silencing the noise before it grows legs. Defense argued it was about a gossip column. But the timeline matched too closely with Kim's final days for anyone to believe that anymore. In hushed corners of the courtroom, reporters speculated whether Diddy would face actual jail time. Some wondered if he would attempt to flee. Federal marshals, stationed discreetly at each exit, made sure he couldn't. Meanwhile, insiders leaked that authorities were already unsealing related cases. Past allegations that never saw daylight, hidden settlements, former employees threatened into silence. A dam had burst, and the waters were sweeping away everything Diddy once believed untouchable. On the trial's final day, the prosecution delivered a closing argument that felt less like law and more like an exorcism. This case is not about fame. It is not about jealousy. It is about a woman who dared to speak the truth and died for it. It is about children robbed of a mother and a man who thought his money could buy silence forever. The dead do not speak, but today, Kim Porter speaks through us. The court fell quiet. Even Diddy's own entourage, loyal since the 90s, avoided his eyes as the judge ordered that the jury begin deliberation for related charges that could follow if civil verdicts turned into criminal ones. Outside, the streets filled with people holding candles and singing Kim's favorite songs. Her children, shielded from cameras by family friends, were said to be watching the news from a safe house, aware that their mother's final words were changing the world more than any courtroom could alone. In the days that followed, Diddy's business empire bled out rapidly. Brands distanced themselves. His mansions, once symbols of success, became footnotes in auction announcements. Former allies called him a cautionary tale in interviews. But for the public, the real victory was not in his downfall. It was in Kim's vindication. Her voice, long muted by glamour and secrecy, now echoed through every news headline, podcast, and rally. Songs she loved were played on radio stations not as tributes to Diddy's legacy, but as anthems for a woman who refused to stay silent. In the end, Diddy wasn't dragged away in handcuffs. Not yet. Legal experts debated how much of the mountain of evidence could translate into jail time versus colossal financial ruin. But to the court of public opinion, the verdict was already clear. Kim Porter's story, once sealed tight in a metal box beneath a lawyer's floorboards, now lived in every household that demanded to know how a king fell so far, and how a queen rose from her grave to finish what she started. For once, Diddy's trademark phrase rang painfully true, though not in the way he had boasted all those years. Can't stop, won't stop. The truth, it seemed, had inherited those words, and it would never stop again. Do subscribe, turn on notifications, stay vigilant on this channel, and remember, some secrets can't stay buried forever because more witnesses are coming forward daily. New evidence is being uncovered.